the great Quentin Rampage Jackson when he said, "Shit happens and shit."
That's right. There's your answer to all these questions. And this weekend, it really hammered home when you see all this stuff for Eddie Guerrero, and it's so sad for his wife and everything like that, and so unfair. And then there's the man who exploited it for all he was worth and is sitting there laughing at the fact that he has defied God his whole life.
Well,
and is living the high life.
Well, since we're going down this track, his exact line was, "Here I am, God, with a body you never intended for a 60-year-old to have."
That was quite the line.
He's doing it by, treading down the same path that cost Eddie his life.
$49 million in his pocket this year.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's why people hope for karma. People hope for comeuppance for heaven and hell, because
there has to be
things
something.
just aren't fair here on Earth. But with that said, it was an odd little segue on this show.
Let's talk about the pro wrestling show.
Let's get on to WrestleMania here. The WrestleMania show from Chicago, saved by Chicago. God bless Chicago.
In many ways.
Speaking of God, he should bless Chicago, even though they will indiscriminately be wiped out by a meteor at some point or something crazy.
Another fire.
Shit happens and shit. But I should note that I just looked at the report, and the first line I saw was, and I quote, "I'm getting ready to blow Buddy Wayne." Apparently, when I was in the kitchen getting food, Buddy hijacked the computer.
He did this a couple of times throughout the night. Apparently, you didn't catch them all.
I must not have. I may catch them as I'm recapping this report.
Yes, you disappeared in the kitchen for several minutes, as you tend to do it occasionally at the pay-per-view parties. And
every 5 minutes.
Yes, and Buddy leapt in your chair and held up his typing finger and went to work.
First show, or first match, Big Show and Kane faced Chris Masters and Carlito. We'd predicted Masters and Carlito would win. I actually believe I predicted in the newsletter they would either win here or on Raw the next night.
Okay.
I have not been proven wrong yet.
I see. The way to cover your bases.
That's right. Well, not really.
You could still be wrong. You could still be wrong.
I could still be very wrong. But, it was a opening match. It was nothing special. It was not horrid. Big Show and Kane won. They teased dissension between Chris Masters and Carlito. God knows why. It's either two guys nobody cares about win the belts, or two guys nobody care about have a fight
keep the belts.
And nobody cares.
Yeah.
So
yeah, decent. It was decent. Nothing more, nothing less. Big Show was still huge. They did light the city of Chicago on fire when Kane came out. They had the skyline back there, and I thought, well, that's nice. There actually was a great fire in the city once upon a time, but whatever. And the SmackDown,
Did you find that tasteless or something like that, Vince?
In the grand scheme of things this company has done in the past 6 months, no. Looking at it, trying to with one foot in the real world, as I occasionally tend to do, well, very occasionally, let's be honest, but it may have been a bad idea.
I got a request for everybody on the board. I don't know if it's just my internet, but it seems our site often runs very, very slow. And I want to know if anybody else notices this or if it's just my computer. And any of you tech guys perhaps can help us out here. We have tried many different things to optimize the website, but I hit this goddamn login button and I wait for 5 minutes and nothing happens sometimes, and it drives me nuts.
I thought it was my machine or my home network or something, so I'm actually kind of relieved it's not me. But yes, I have noticed it.
God damn, that drives me crazy.
2-3 weeks or so.
Somebody help me out here. This site is growing and we need this thing to be fast, and the goddamn thing is slow and it pisses me off. Let's move on here. The next little deal, Coach was backstage. Thank God he was not doing commentary. They had Ross and Lawler for the Raw team. They had Cole and Taz for the SmackDown team. And during the Money in the Bank match, they had all four guys at the same time, which actually did not turn...
It was not nearly the disaster I was anticipating.
It did not turn into the clusterfuck that we saw at Survivor Series that must never occur again.
Yeah. They also did bring out Joey Styles for the Edge and Foley match, and he did fine.
Yeah.
I think it was just Styles and Lawler once that match got going. And
they wanted him for the Oh My God spot during the fire. That was basically it.
Pretty much, and they did him a favor, and they let him do the Oh My God spot, and then he went away again. But
why is this site so damn slow?
Well, I'm afraid...
still waiting for that login button to activate that I pushed 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, I'm afraid there's only two people to question about that, and I think one of them is in Germany.
No, one of them's back home.
Oh, is he home? Okay.
He's home. It's driving me nuts. So then we had Matt Hardy, Finlay. Oh, I didn't even talk about the coach thing. He interviewed Sean. Sean, he wanted to know, do you regret what you did with Vince? And Sean was like, I never regret telling the truth.
Yes.
I cried with laughter. Cried with laughter. And then he said, no one should expect a 5-star match tonight. It will be brutal and ugly.
Nice. Thanks, Sean. Thanks. We appreciate the...
Thank you for the tip, yes.
I was looking forward to it, but I will now change my focus to something else.
Then we had the Money in the Bank. Matt Hardy, Finlay, Lashley, Flair, Shelton, and Rob Van Dam for the, I guess, title shot at some point during this year. Probably at the ECW pay-per-view. The man who won was Rob Van Dam. Every crazy, wacky spot in the book. Shelton did some awesome stuff, which will in no way elevate him in this world.
Yeah.
Rob Van Dam was very well liked, as was Ric Flair. They were the two most popular guys. Flair sold a horrible injury early, which they held up the dreaded X sign.
Actually, two of them.
That needs
SmackDown
to stop.
and Raw ref each held up the X.
Save the damn X for when someone's actually hurt.
Yeah.
So what if he really did get hurt and they held up the X and everybody just came out for the joke? It's crying wolf.
I wonder if at this point they actually have a real X sign that's not the X. Maybe it's the field goal sign or something. They have a new sign for when someone actually is injured.
That's right.
I don't know.
So anyway, it ended up with there were two ladders set up. Rob Van Dam was on one. Shelton was on another. And who was the other guy?
Matt Hardy was
Matt
also
Hardy, because he died.
Because he effing died.
He flew over the top and hit his neck on the apron. I hope he survived. It was brutal.
There was not an update. It was a side of his head as opposed to the top of it, so I guess that's good. But, it was not good times. It was sad times for young Matt Hardy. And Rob was still up there alone on the ladder, and he climbed up and got the belt, or the briefcase.
That's right. So go ahead and talk about the match.
Well, it was, I don't want to say clusterific, but it was, it was spotrific. It was everyone hitting hitting guys with ladders and doing big dives off the ladders. Rob hit a frog splash off the very top of a ladder on Finlay. The biggest spot of the match was actually kind of hard to explain, but Shelton last year, everyone remembers the spot where he used the ladder as a ramp and ran up it and hit a clothesline or something. And he did a modified version of that this year with the ladder leaning against the ropes, and Shelton ran up the ladder like a ramp and then did a big flip dive onto about 700 pounds of people out there to catch him, so that was smart, but that was awfully cool. That was the big spot of the match. Everyone got a chance to hit a finisher, just stuff going on all the time, and they did at one point tease Flair's injury after, I believe it was a superplex off the ladder, if I remember right, and he was taken to the back and then returned about 5 minutes later, and Finlay was alone in the ring, and he stared at Flair coming back, and everyone thought we'd get Flair and Finlay, and we did for a very short time, and it was great. And they teased Flair would win, and then someone came to take care of him. Oh, the other key spot that was great, right before the finish, Rob was going up on the ladder alone. He was alone in the ring on the ladder. He was climbing up to win it, and Shelton did a springboard onto the ladder to cut him off. And as cool as it probably looked in real life, watching it on TV, the camera totally missed him doing the springboard, and we just saw him fly through the air and land on the ladder. Like Superman or something.
He is an amazing person.
It was great.
Amazing human being. But like I said, won't mean a goddamn thing.
No.
Sorry for that long transition there where we had to rely on Vince, but...
you should always apologize for when I'm left alone.
I immediately
to me and the readers.
Shot off an email here to Tony. Try and get the damn site fixed. This is driving me nuts. I can't even do the show when something like this annoys me so much. It's like WrestleMania Sunday, we can't even use the website because the thing ain't working.
That's bad.
It drives me fucking crazy. But let's try and get on with the show here, and I'll try and ignore it for now. Josh was trying to interview Okerlund. Out came Orton. Yeehaw. The one good promo of the year Orton had on SmackDown. He ain't going to have another one for 365 days because this one sucked. Batista showed up, looked so dapper, and threatened to return soon and win the belt, which was the happiest I've ever been to hear a threat. We need Big Dave back.
We do need Big Dave back.
I miss him.
He's just Big Dave. He kind of snuck up on you because he was in Evolution and you knew he'd win the belt and you thought, well, it's good for business, but you didn't really realize how great Big Dave was until he was gone.
Yeah.
At least I didn't.
Well, you never notice anything. So
that's also true.
The site just loaded, sort of. I don't even know what you can describe what just happened, but thank God. Now that 150 people have just left the site simultaneously because the goddamn thing doesn't work, now it's starting to go a little fast.
That's probably what happened, actually.
That drives me crazy.
I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do.
Help me out, people. I need somebody that can help us out here.
Anyone who understands these
anybody
wacky
has
computers.
A clue about speeding this up in some way. We've called GoDaddy, and these idiots are just clueless. There's like, oh, well, there's nothing you can do about this. We're like, I'll pay you whatever you want.
You hired the company whose spokesperson is Candace Michelle,
Well, yeah.
and you're now surprised you're having problems with them.
Fuck off, Vince.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, they're making a ton of money because they're buying fucking big ads at the Super Bowl, so they must be doing all right.
Oh, that's true.
Chris Benoit and JBL for the U.S. title. This was not the show stealer.
No, I was a fool when I suggested this may be the best in the show. This was perhaps the 6th best match in the show. It was not even that good. It would not have been the best match on a typical SmackDown.
Yeah.
It was okay. They did some stuff. JBL had a roll up and grabbed the ropes and got the pin. And
it was one of those matches where the finish just came about 5 or 8 minutes too early. Like, they just seemed like they were starting to get going, and then all of a sudden he put on the crossface, and JBL rolled and grabbed the ropes and pinned him and snuck out and was the champion.
There was a point here where JBL was doing the Eddie mannerisms to try and get heat, I guess. And
well, it worked, because then when Benoit did them later,
everyone went crazy.
Yeah.
And we do know that JBL and Eddie were close. But the point I was going to make was when he tried to do the rolling suplexes, you never really realized how hard that move must be until you watch JBL try to swivel his hips over.
No.
He looked like a giraffe on its back.
I've got to stop you there. That move is not difficult to execute.
I think I've done it.
Well, you were probably slower than JBL. But the point is, the key here is one of two things. Either JBL is fantastically unathletic,
Okay.
or he was doing it so slowly as to hammer home exactly what he's doing.
He was
like,
doing,
hey, dicks.
I am being a cheap ripoff of Eddie Guerrero.
That's right.
That's an interesting thought.
That's actually what I thought it was.
That's
Because
entirely
I was
possible.
like, nobody could possibly do this
He swung
spot so slowly.
his enormous giant legs straight up into the air, swinging him around like a TV antenna. Just very awkward.
Then we had Edge versus Foley. Joey Styles was in the booth for this one, as we noticed, and, they didn't do a great job building up to it. And like I said on Saturday, I'm not going to apologize for what we said about the show yesterday.
No.
No change. But this match, unlike most of the promos and everything like that, this so delivered.
This was what it had to be.
Yeah, it was. Even this was maybe cut a little bit short.
I would have had no problem. Well, I would have had no problem with this going longer. That being said, it did end at the perfect point. They did their big spot, and it ended.
Yeah.
Which doesn't happen all the time.
They did everything. They had Foley wrapped himself in barbed wire. I was wondering why he had a blue flannel instead of his red one.
He was wearing about 5 shirts.
It was hiding some barbed wire underneath his blue flannel, which, of course, was over his red flannel. So Edge speared that, and then his shoulder got all cut open. He gigged it, and then ended up bleeding from the head. He took a big something or other, like a back suplex, I believe, on the thumbtacks.
It was a giant back suplex.
Thumbtacks sticking out all over him. And actually, they didn't even clear up all the thumbtacks because there were guys with thumbtacks sticking out of him the rest of the night.
Oh, I'm sure they'll be happy about that.
I bet they love that one. But it's WrestleMania. You don't feel that kind of shit until the next day. But, there were thumbtacks in all over Edge's back. They used the barbed wire bat. They teased fire.
Oh, yes, they teased it first.
And
very early.
I'm thinking, you ain't going to see fire tonight.
Yeah.
For sure you ain't going to see, because first they sprayed lighter fluid all over Foley. And it's like, this man is not going to be lit on fire.
Yeah.
They didn't end up lighting the table on fire. Both guys, I think it was Edge, spearing Foley off the apron.
Off the apron, through the burning table.
But he went through the ropes, so they both went through the burning table.
Mm-hmm.
And it's lighter fluid on a table, so it immediately went out.
Yeah.
This really... It's one of those spots where it's a whole hell of a lot less dangerous than it really looks to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't be going through a flaming table.
Now,
but
I know nothing about lighter fluid.
I would go through a flaming table before I took an unprotected chair shot to the head. I will tell you that right now.
I don't know about that one.
I will tell you that
but I have a fear of fire.
hesitation.
I've seen people playing with lighters, and I have to believe. So I've got a kind of a natural fear of fire there.
I actually lit a fire in my hand once, and you freaked out.
That sounds totally... I don't remember, but that sounds like
I
something
laughed.
I would do. Yeah.
I was like, what a pussy.
Well, yes.
What, am I going to spontaneously combust because I put a little lighter fluid in my hand and lit it?
I don't know.
Yeah, you
so
don't
here's
know.
my
That's
question.
The key.
They doused Foley with the lighter fluid, and then about 20 minutes later, he went through the table.
Well, I'm sure they probably, like with Earthquake, had 2 bags of snakes.
That's what I was going to suggest.
I'm thinking, yes, he was not covered in real lighter fluid when he went through the goddamn flaming table.
That's good.
Yes. So, I also did not like when he wrapped barbed wire around his hand and put the claw on both Lita and Edge, and Lita was bleeding all over her mouth. Enough of the bleeding women, okay?
It happened once. Well, twice.
Too much now.
Yeah. I don't think
it was
happen
too
for a
much
while.
really on the first one. If somebody on the board mentioned just use fake blood, which she may have, in which case I'll still be more happy. But there's just something about the visual of a beautiful woman with blood streaming out of her face. I ain't down with that.
Well, you're not supposed to be, but
I know, but still, even if she's a heel, I don't want to see it. So.
yeah. Well, you're the good news is you won't for a long time now.
Yeah.
I guarantee.
Really, I could have said that on Raw about 2 weeks ago.
Okay, you're right. They'll leave Lita in a pool of Rumble
I don't
tomorrow.
want this to be a trend.
Okay.
So that was that. This was the very definition of a hardcore match.
Yes.
If your friends want to know what's a hardcore match, you show them this one.
This was good garbage wrestling.
Yeah. Booker T and Charmel versus the Boogeyman. There was a man with a sign that said, "I paid $750 to see the Boogeyman," and this is what he saw: an ungodly, horrific match. Boogeyman sucks when he's healthy. He's got a torn bicep. He just
sucked more.
Couldn't do a goddamn thing. He took a couple bumps. He sold a lot. He couldn't even do the pump handle slam. So he just did a spine buster, I guess. What did he do? What was the finish?
The tree slam.
Tree slam, that's right. And, it was nothing. Charmel was never in the ring, except for the very beginning, and she immediately got tagged out.
Yeah. The big spot of the match was Boogeyman putting worms in his mouth and then kissing Charmel, who, of course, like any sane person would do, ran screaming to the back.
And that was...
And then he pinned Booker with a tree slam, and that was that.
Fantastically gross, I will go as far as to say. So, yeah, that was disgusting.
It really was.
I will say that. Trish faced Mickie James. This was interesting.
This was odd.
Keith was at the show, and as we were driving to Buddy's, approximately the time we got lost, I got a text from Keith, and it basically said Cena's already getting booed out of the building. This was 40 minutes before the show started, 50 minutes before the show started. And, they showed Cena a little bit earlier in the night, and there were a lot of boos and that sort of thing.
He got booed at the Hall of Fame.
Also some boos for Hunter. But Mickie came out, and the match began. Mickey's looking better, both physically and in the ring.
Okay.
Until the finish. Then
she
became the Ohio Valley Mickey.
I can forgive him for one move.
I can't. It's the finish of the main spot in the main match of her career on WrestleMania. It's a hard one to forgive.
No, Brock did that.
Yeah.
No, of course, he is also Brock Lesnar.
You dick. But anyway, I apologize for that random dick that I had to throw out. You never know when I might have to just whip out a random dick. So, anyway, this was a match where it started out, people booed Mickie, people cheered Trish. Then about maybe 15 fans in the 17,000 seat building chanted, "Let's go, Mickie."
Mm-hmm.
It's very calm, relaxed. And talk about catching some momentum.
Something happened.
There's
something in the air in Chicago, but by the end, Mickie James was the most popular wrestler on the card.
And it's funny. No, she wasn't. But she was very, very popular. But
you're right. We can never exaggerate on this show. That would be horrible.
No, it wouldn't, because when we do exaggerate, that takes the... You just don't understand, Vince. Just try and be truthful as often as possible.
I see.
The sarcasm has to be such obvious sarcasm. Otherwise, we get weird emails asking us wacky questions.
Well, that's true.
So, anyway, this was... What the hell was I saying?
We were talking about how popular Mickie James was.
You distracted me.
And now I've put you back on course.
Okay, so, yeah, Mickie was very, very popular, and... Oh, that's right. So anyway, she's very popular, and Lawler's trying to explain why. And he goes, maybe the people relate to Mickie James. And I'm like, what is there about this woman that 17,000 random fans would relate to? Stalking a hot girl? Crazy?
Could be it.
A shrine for Trish Stratus in their room? There's nothing that I could figure out. So I think Bernard was there during this match. And at one point, Trish set Mickie up, I believe, for the Stratisfaction. And Mickie just grabbed her vagina.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, Bernard's like, now I know why they like her.
That's right.
He was all of a sudden down with this whole Mickie James thing. And Trish was like, what the fuck just happened there? And Mickie went for the Stratisfaction, and, well...
She didn't hit it.
They... it's interesting, because before the show, Buddy's like, I'll bet we show up at Craig's house and there's a game of Twister all set up. He thought we were gonna,
Mm-hmm.
all a bunch of sweaty, large, fat men doing Twister, and
That's what he envisioned parties like at Craig's house.
that's right. But that's basically what happened. They played Twister in the ropes. They were all fucked up in the
They
ropes.
were all fucked up in the ropes.
It was like a pride match where something went horribly awry by the ropes. They needed handlers to put him back into the ring. And everyone was like, you fucked up. But Mickey just smiled like, I'm crazy, I fucked up on purpose. And then she hit the chick kick, and it was a lame one. But my God, did Trish ever take a bump for that move?
Yeah,
She wanted to put over her own move, basically.
that's true.
And Mickey pinned her. And the place just went ballistic. They totally forgot the fuck up and just went crazy because she won. And that was that. Very booberific match.
Well, it was. There were,
2 3/4 heaving breasts, I would give this.
And it cannot be a mistake or an accident what happened, but the last shot you saw was first there was Trish bent over, exposing cleavage, seething at Mickey up the ramp. Then it cut to Mickey, who was celebrating and jumping up and down. And then the very, very next camera shot was backstage on Vince McMahon's flexing chest.
Oh, that's right.
And I screamed.
Yeah, we saw too much of Vince's body tonight. This is where Vince cut the promo on
the fate prayer.
the Lord. Dear God. Actually, the promo, basically, everybody got very, very quiet. It was Vince,
It was the
Linda,
McMahon family.
Shane and Stephanie, and Vince said, we're going to do the first, we've never done this before, obviously.
That's no kidding.
The McMahon family prayer. He puts his head down.
They were all
Everything's just very quiet.
getting on one knee and then the other because they didn't know what to do.
Everybody's very quiet, head down, and all of a sudden, it's just quiet for a while, and then you hear, God! That's how the prayer started.
Mm-hmm.
God! I don't like you. You don't like me. And even Craig was laughing at this point, just because the absurdity of this. And he cut this promo, and he's talking about his Herculean physique. And Shane and Steph both look over like, what the hell are you talking about, Dad? And he finished his speech and did the maniacal laugh, and I just thought, we've said it all about Vince McMahon, but I got to say this part again. There'll never be another.
We're going miss him is the wrong word, but we're going to notice when he is not there anymore.
A void will be created by the loss of Vince McMahon from this world at some point.
Yes.
They're just some guys. Never be another Hunter S. Thompson.
No.
And there's never going to be another Vince McMahon.
Two insane men.
Just absolutely just nuts.
One of a kind.
There'll never be another Iron Sheik.
No.
Really never be another Ric Flair.
Absolutely not.
To me, that's just a sign of a great man. When you're just so one of a kind, you're just so completely you.
That no one else can duplicate it?
Just never. There can never be another. Like a lot of wrestlers, everyone's looking to be the next so-and-so.
Mm-hmm.
Look at every wrestler, you'll see who they want to be.
Yeah.
They're just some guys that attain the level of dudes that just... I mean, they obviously had tried to pattern themselves after somebody else, but they became so themselves.
Yes.
So this
They set the standard for whatever it is they are.
Hulk Hogan's another one. Jesus Christ, there'll never be another Hulk Hogan.
There'll never be another Hulk Hogan.
So anyway, Vince, that's really what I got out of that whole thing there. Just a madman. Then we had Undertaker, and by the way, now that the charges have been dropped, Vince McMahon's back at Tanzabar.
Oh, yes. He had a Hall of Fame tan.
Good God. He may have pouted in the tanning booth after she turned him down this time.
That's right.
So anyway, Undertaker faced Mark Henry. It was every Undertaker versus large man at WrestleMania match you've ever seen.
With a box outside.
Large man never went down. Undertaker did a bunch of bullshit. The big man got the heat. The big man foolishly went up top for 10 punches in the corner, took the power bomb, and Undertaker ended up doing the WrestleMania dive, which is over the top ropes to the floor. This time he went over the top ropes and over the casket. Mark Henry did not catch him.
Think about that.
I should note that nobody caught anybody in the ladder in the bank match. People were diving off the post. No, it was the opener. Carlito and Kane and everybody.
No, that's right.
Kane went off the top, and it was like everyone.
They parted like the sea.
Fuck out of
Yes.
that guy, and everyone crashed and burned. But yeah, so the Undertaker, he won this match with a tombstone pile driver, which was terrifying.
Yes, it is.
That's really telling you something, too, when I thought it was the first one ever, and you reminded me that they supposedly did it just,
A month ago.
yeah.
Then he put Henry in the box, and he won. And that was it. Other than the big dive, there was no point to watching any of this.
No.
I thought even, it's Undertaker WrestleMania. I thought there'd be some big fancy entrance, but I was mistaken.
Greg had a good party tonight.
He did.
I just had to throw that in there. I am still feeling the after effects of said party. Vince McMahon and Shawn Michaels in a no-holds-barred match. What's to say about it?
Well, it was what we expected. They used every gimmick they could think of, including 6 men interfering.
This is what I got to say about it. A lot of great wrestlers in WWE. About a year and a half ago, it was always a big argument. Who's the best worker in WWE? And always like a toss-up. 3 men. It was Shawn Michaels, Kurt Angle, and
Benoit.
Chris Benoit. These 3 men, they traded off week by week. It's like they'd always find a way to have a great match with somebody they shouldn't have, and you're like, oh, this week they're the best ever. Now it's just pretty much...
Benoit.
Yeah, until tonight.
Until tonight.
Benoit wrestled a mannequin on SmackDown, that being Mark Henry.
Animal,
I'm sorry. The other
you got your giant immobile men confused.
I got the mannequins messed up. The Undertaker wrestled a mannequin as well. So there were 3 mannequins fought this weekend. The Benoit mannequin match with the Animal, the Undertaker mannequin match with Mark Henry, and the Shawn Michaels mannequin match with Vince McMahon. And of the 3, the Shawn Michaels match was the best.
Yes.
Now, granted, it was much, much longer, had a lot of gimmicks and such like that. I will say that...
Text message.
I hate that sound. I will say that my prediction of Vince McMahon tearing 80 muscles, to my knowledge, did not occur.
Nothing happened as far as we know.
But I don't really have an update at this point, so I guess we shall see. But I mean, this was like, I don't know what to rate it. It's just...
There was a lot of matches tonight that were just weird. It was a good show, but it was a very weird show.
There were a lot of matches that it was hard for me to get a grasp on. How do you really rate a match like this? You know what I mean? I try and do star ratings. I don't take them horribly seriously or anything like that because it is all subjective or objective.
Subjective.
I consider them objective when I give them, but you're right. In general, subjective. But this was a hard match to judge because Vince McMahon didn't do a goddamn thing. It was all gimmicks, but it was very well put together. The place went nuts for the finish. And, you could give it 3.5, 3.25, even 4 really if you wanted to. But I don't know. Whatever you want to give this goddamn match above about 3 stars, I don't care.
This match was an acquired taste. Some people liked it a lot, I'm sure, and there were a lot of people who I thought it was crap.
Who?
I don't know anyone in particular. You will see people on board who will say this match was not very good.
Well, let's wait, because we don't know.
All right.
You assume that.
The only thing
you may be right.
The only negative thing I can really say, and we did talk about this earlier, was at the finish of the match was Shawn went for the super kick and then changed his mind, and he spent the next 5 minutes laying one hell of an ass whooping on Vince McMahon.
I was thinking about this when I did the recap for our site. If I didn't know better, which I don't, I would think this is like they're writing off the Vince McMahon character. He's dead.
It's entirely possible.
He cannot appear tomorrow. I forbid it.
Yeah.
I will shut down WWE if he shows up tomorrow. I don't know how, but somehow I will. He cannot show up tomorrow. It's just it's impossible. He took the most immense beating. Vince McMahon, say what you will about the guy, but he
will sacrifice himself.
Vince is an odd bully.
Mm-hmm. Vince
is a bully, but at the same time, he'll take an ass whooping.
This was a grand ass whooping.
The one in particular was when he took a ladder shot to the head.
He leaned into it.
Every man in the world would put up their hand.
Mm-hmm.
Vince just leaned his forehead forward.
Yes.
The ladder sliced off the top of his head. He was scalped.
Yes.
Tatanka was in the back on, my people.
Yes.
He scalped him. And blood was pouring out of the top of his head. And the match continued.
Oh, yes.
Shawn kept hitting him with shit.
He destroyed a chair.
The Spirit Squad ran in earlier. I got to get this out of the way. Then Shane McMahon ran in. Shawn, of course, beat up the Spirit Squad so bad they just retreated and never returned. He handcuffed Shane to the ropes and made him watch the whole deal.
Well, he also beat the hell out of Shane with a stick.
That's right.
He got Shane handcuffed to the ropes, grabbed the stick, he did the Shane McMahon dance way better than Shane's ever done it, and then just unloaded.
Pardon my expression, kids, he beat the motherfuck
Oh, yes.
out of Shane McMahon.
Whatever anger Shawn Michaels has ever had in his 30-some years on this earth, every crime that's ever been committed against him, every sin that he's perceived to have been committed against him.
Every shot he took from Shane in their feud.
Every shot from, Shane and many others, because he took this damn stick and just laid a whooping on the younger McMahon.
An ass whooping unparalleled. And then he, put him...
He killed his dad.
Handcuffed him to the ropes, killed Vince with shot after shot after shot. He ended up putting a ladder up for an elbow off the ladder through Vince in a table, but then changed his mind. He wanted a bigger ladder.
He went and got a bigger ladder.
They claimed the ladder was 30 feet tall, which would have been the size of King Kong. Perhaps you just watched King Kong.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think his ladder was that tall.
The construction people we were in the room with were saying it was 12 to 15.
These men create cabinets. I'll take their word for it.
It was a big Horkin ladder.
It was a 12 to 15-foot ladder. He put Vince on the table with a trash can over his head, so Vince could not see or protect himself. He came off with a flying elbow off way up, 13 feet probably.
Mm-hmm.
Put Vince through the table, crushed the can so that they couldn't even get the can off Vince.
Yeah.
The ref immediately put the one fist up in the air to say he is not dead.
Maybe that is the new X-Line we were talking about, the one fist.
Well, the one fist means live.
Oh, it does, okay.
The two fists means something's fucked up.
I see.
So out came the EMTs to, this was storyline EMTs,
yeah.
and maybe real-life EMTs, because you never know when one might become two. So Sean's like, get the fuck out of here, you.
He kicked away the EMTs.
He did a bunch of crotch chops, which got an enormous pop. The DX crotch chops.
There was a DX chant trying to get started, but they were so excited they couldn't get a rhythm for a chant going. So it was just DDX, DX, XX, DX.
Yeah. And he, I got to go back real quick to the Foley match, because it just reminded me of this. When Edge put Foley through the flaming table, it was almost like everybody knew now was the time to chant holy shit, but they were so holy shitted that they just forgot.
They're so legitimately impressed.
Holy mouthed it silently to themselves.
Yeah.
Because you didn't get the big holy shit chance.
There was just however many thousand people gasping at once.
So then Sean stood up Vince, who was a corpse at this point, and he said, "You are going to watch as I kick your teeth down your throat."
Oh, yes.
He backed up. Vince leaned his chin forward. Sean super kicked him right in the fucking mouth.
Knocked his teeth down his damn throat.
Pinned him 1, 2, 3. And as I recap it, I just give the whole damn thing 4 stars, really.
In hindsight, because at the time people didn't know what to make of it.
It seemed...
You're not used to seeing the babyface. It's certainly not a babyface like Sean. Just go crazy wacko on a helpless victim.
Yeah.
And that's what Sean did here. But in hindsight, it was violence in its most beautiful form.
If you look at the story, it was perfectly rational thing for Sean to do, really.
Well,
and
we don't really encourage this kind of thing, but
yeah. And we should know that this match got almost half hour, and the Hunter match got almost half hour.
We'll get to that.
And that tells you everything you need to know about this promotion. But so they put Vince on the stretcher afterwards, wheeled him up the ramp, and as he was going, he held up the 2 middle fingers. And I don't want to start any rumors here because I don't know anything. I will preface this by saying, right now, I don't know anything.
This is a rumor.
No, I don't even know if it's a rumor. It happened,
okay,
but I don't know what it means. Sean was going up the ramp after DXing the shit out of everything, and there's a hot blonde a couple rows back by the rail. He grabbed her and kissed her right on the lips. And Buddy's like, that was the girl he was sitting next to last night. I don't know if it was.
Mm-hmm.
It was very strange. This was not his wife.
Right.
And now you could say, Brian, don't be bringing up things like this. But Sean did this in front of the million people that bought this show.
Mm-hmm.
This was not a...
this is not a clandestine meeting at a bar late at night.
No.
This was on live pay-per-view of the biggest show of the year.
He kissed her, he looked at the camera, he smiled, he walked up the ramp, and thus it is open for public discussion.
Yes.
So anyway, I thought I would throw that out there. I don't know what it means, like I said, but who knows. Angle, Orton, and Ray for the WWE title. Tells you everything you know about SmackDown, the fact they did not give this a lot of time.
Yeah.
Very good three-way. A lot of good spots. A lot of only one spot that I recall that got fucked up. Ray tried the 619 around the post and fell down. Everybody knew it, gave him hell. Crowd was most solidly behind Angle.
Yeah, they were booing Ray.
No, they were booing everybody. They were booing anyone who was not Angle. It was not so much they were booing Ray, because we saw when they actually booed Cena.
That's true.
They just wanted Angle to win, and when somebody else was winning on him, they didn't like that. That's basically what happened. So it was a good match, and they did the finish where Angle tapped out both guys, but there was no ref. It sets up automatic rematches, obviously. And then Ray ended up hitting the 619 in an awesome springboard Hurricane Rana on Randy Orton, got the pin. Angle flipped out. Ray celebrated. He was so happy. Went up on the ramp, celebrated with Chavo and Vicky, who were also very happy. And it was a great moment. It was a great entrance. He had the Aztec headdress.
The Rock Band.
Yeah, the Rock Band. Everything except a live virgin sacrifice, which lack of virgins, I think, is the reason we didn't get that. But that was the great entrance. And I don't know, it was just like, it should have been so much more.
It should have been so much more. We talked about how they've killed this for the past 8 weeks or more. The match itself, it was good, but it's like you said, I think you said about Benoit JBL, this one needed 5 or 6 more minutes. It felt like they were just getting going.
Yeah.
It felt like they were just building to the really hot finish, and then it was over and done. For me, it came off as flat. It came off as, well, yeah, Ray's a new champion. Okay, I got it. That's fine. It was not Benoit winning at Mania. It was not Eddie beating Brock. It was just another title change.
I will say this, though. We live in somewhat of a wrestling bubble. Someone accused me of really living in a wrestling bubble today, because a lot of popular culture things I'm oblivious to, but that's by design. I still would not watch a whole bunch of movies and TV shows if I didn't do this stuff, because it just doesn't interest me. But, you know, we see all this stuff, and we have these thoughts and these feelings, and we express them here, but when Ray won, we were in a room with 11 people, and at least 3 of them jumped out of their chair and went, yeah! And that's the only time all night that this happened.
I was sitting close to the TV and not really seeing what was behind me, so I didn't notice that. But
everyone on the couch jumped up.
Okay.
All 3 of the cabinet makers.
Well, they're the 3 casual fans.
Yes.
So I agree. We do live sometimes in a wrestling bubble. One of the first things I do after pay-per-view is look at various feedback sites on the internet and just see what other people thought. See if not to see if I'm right, but to see if I'm concurrent with the public opinion or if I'm weird. Basically, is what I'm checking. But yeah, so maybe I'll go home and I'll check everything. Maybe everyone will say it was great and they were crying, they were so happy. And in which case, then, and if that's true, then they did it right. And if everyone agrees with me, then they screwed it up.
And I got to say something here. This goes back to a rant that I went on a long time ago, where there was a lot of unhappiness about a Shawn Michaels Kurt Angle match, where Shawn was kicking out of a top rope angle slam and everything like that, and people talking about how these moves, these finishes were being killed and that sort of thing. And the point I tried to make was, all you got to do is beat one top guy with your finish and it's over again. Doesn't matter how many times the finish has not worked in a row. One big win will just get the whole damn thing over. And the thing with pro wrestling is, it's such a fast-moving business, and things change so rapidly, and because of that, things are, I don't want to say forgotten, but every day is a new day. Everything, all the build towards Ray winning the belt, it has not been good. And it resulted in the win being underwhelming. But really, that means nothing. Because on Thursday, everything is brand new again.
That is true.
Every show is a brand new slate.
That is an excellent point.
On Thursday, they could put all their promotional power behind Rey Mysterio Jr., and he could become a phenomenon. Or a phenomena. Whichever one you want to.
Whichever one is singular.
Whichever one, yes. And it's just like, look back to WrestleMania last year. both of the world title changes, Batista beating Hunter, and JBL losing to John Cena, both of those very underwhelming.
As far as matches, yes.
Very underwhelming matches, very underwhelming reactions. John Cena went on to become the hottest merchandise seller of the company by a grand margin.
Yeah.
And Batista went on to become a pretty successful champion.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's always, I can't even say it's always the follow-up. It's just every day is a brand new day. And say what you want about this show, or say what you want about Angle winning the belt. As of tonight, you can say whatever you want. It's probably valid that it was an underwhelming win and everything like that. But on Thursday, boom, it could all turn around just like that. Or they could fuck it all up.
They could indeed fuck it all up.
In no way am I saying that this is the beginning of something huge. He could lose the belt Thursday. He could lose the belt in a month.
He could lose the belt and his mask in a month.
That's right. Anything can happen.
Your point is, come Thursday, they start at 0.
Every show.
Every week, they start at 0 again.
Every single show, they start at 0. Because I could give a million examples, but we're an hour into the show, so let's move on here. Then we had the pillow fight, which, where the hell did I even recap the pillow fight?
Did you have to?
Oh, there it is.
They never used the pillows.
No,
should mention that.
It was the shittiest pillow fight ever because no pillows were used.
They did not have a comedy pillow fight. They tried to have a fight.
Let me say this about the match. First off, as amazing as this is, between the women coming out and the final bell ringing, there were references to Lucha Libre and Frank A. Gotch.
Yes.
They proceeded to have a match, and I don't know how this is possible, so much worse than I expected.
Well,
this
because
is like I expected
we
a
were
dud,
expecting. Okay, go ahead.
and they did a negative 5-star match. Not that bad. -2.
It was negative. Yeah, it was bad.
What an argument that is. Was it -2 or -5? I'm not sure. But yeah, it was negative mini stars.
We were expecting crappy comedy, and we got crappy wrestling, and that made it worse.
Shit. Backdrops onto the bed.
Backdrops on the bed,
which were sold. That was the best part.
Tori turned the mattress over and onto Candace, then tried to stomp on it, and all you need to know is that there were 2 women nearly naked fighting, and people were booing and chanting boring.
Yeah. The worst part was they wanted to strip each girl first before the pin. Tori got stripped, and then all Tori had to do was take off Candace's clothes. I'm sure Candace is a beautiful woman. I'm sure she's a wonderful woman, a wonderful wife. I'm sure at some point she'll be a wonderful mother, beautiful girl. But it don't take 60 seconds to get her clothes off.
Especially these clothes.
And Tori managed to take 60 seconds to get her clothes off. And I'm like, how? How is this even possible?
Well, they're the divas. That's the only answer I can give you.
It's like Tori taking 60 seconds to put a bra on. Or take a bra off.
That's entirely possible. I've never seen her. Well, anyway.
Jesus, God, this sucked. So let's just move on.
Okay.
Main event, Hunter and Cena for the title. It's so clear, that WWE is the promotion designed solely to get Vince McMahon, Triple H, Shane, and Stephanie over.
Oh, yes.
And thus the Raw brand, since they're all on Raw. I mean, this was given the dramatic thump, 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 thump music as they warmed up.
Yep.
It was given the...
They both had the great big spiffy entrances.
They had 2 entrance themes.
Hunter did have a new song and his old song.
They both did.
That's right. You're right. They both did.
It opened up with Hunter having a new Motorhead song about the King. Behold the King, it was
Bow
called.
to the King or something.
Behold the King. Don't second guess me. I have notes here in front of me.
You do.
Behold the King. He came out from under the stage on a throne. If you've ever seen the 2 Towers, what the hell's that one king that's all fucked up?
I forget.
The point is he's a decadent king, and he's sitting on this throne, and he's all hunched down, and it's just this giant throne, and he's got this fucking crown and these royal robes and everything like that. Hunter was all decked out like this, except more like King Conan. He had a loincloth.
Tonight he really was Huntor.
He was Huntor.
He was Huntor the Barbarian.
He was Huntor the Barbarian.
He had his crown, loincloth, a great big hammer.
And a water bottle.
And a plastic water bottle.
He had a water
they
bottle.
Couldn't give him a water bottle at ringside. He had to carry the plastic water bottle with his Halloween costume down there.
That actually made this better. Because if he had not had the water bottle, it would be like, dude, you're taking this thing way too seriously, and you're a dork. By having the water bottle, he's like, it's goofy. But anyway, so then they busted into his normal music and he came down. Then Cena got a video which...
It was about Elliot Ness and the Untouchables.
Basically, they're trying to say that Cena is an illegal bootlegger and you should like him.
I think they were trying to say he was, well, I don't know. It was odd. They brought up Al Capone. They were in Chicago, of course, and they brought up Al Capone and the mob, and they hinted at the men who stopped him. They actually never used the term Elliot Ness. Maybe it's trademarked or something. But
it would be trademarked to mention his name in historical context.
I don't know.
No. Go on.
Okay. So anyway, the point is, it got to the big climax was saying they lived by 3 words, and then it flashed on the screen: hustle, loyalty, respect. And then the wacky music started, and the ramp lifted up, and a gangster car drove out.
That's, by the way, for everybody wondering, does Brian have a dream car? Is there a certain car that Brian
if Brian
would
could
like?
have one automobile in his life,
that'd be it.
You want the gangster car that John Cena had at his entrance.
I want a car out of about 1934, preferably bulletproof.
Yes.
I take black or stainless steel, silver, whatever, platinum, or titanium. Just some car.
This was a pimp car.
Oh, yeah. This was the car.
And it was full of gangsters who were wearing suits and fedoras and toting Tommy guns, and one of these gangsters was young CM Punk.
He had a Pepsi tattoo. He's a hell of a gangster.
Making his WrestleMania debut in his hometown as a machine gun toting gangster. But you know what?
What the hell?
Who cares? But anyway, so yes, they came out and they surrounded the ring, and Hunter was looking at them concerned, perhaps thinking he was about to be hit.
Yeah, I was thinking, like, these men were here to make sure Cena was not booed. You fuckers boo, we're going to take a shot at you.
Yeah, that was also a possibility.
But they had a match, and it was funny because during introductions, it was a split crowd. And in the first time Hunter punched Cena with his closed fist, the place just fucking went nuts.
Yes.
It became a very pro-Hunter crowd, very anti-Cena crowd. There were moments... But in general, it was very pro. It was not Rockin' Austin.
It was definitely not Rockin' Austin. I would not say it was pro-Hunter. It was very strong anti-Cena with an occasional pro-Cena contingent. And the reason I say that is because there were points in this match where there were dueling chants. We've, of course, all the way back to last year, there was, let's go Cena, let's go Jericho, back and forth, back and forth. Well, this night, no one was cheering for Hunter. The chants were, let's go Cena, fuck you Cena, let's go Cena, fuck you Cena.
Yes,
they didn't care about Hunter at
fuck
all.
Fuck you Cena.
Hunter could have died. As long as he took Cena with him, they would have been fine with that.
Yeah, it was a much better match than I expected. I expected after 4 hours and all the gimmick matches that the people would be blown up, tired, and, I got a live report from Keith, and apparently he found the show underwhelming. So it may not have been as good live, or maybe he had very, very high expectations, which with Keith is
entirely
perfectly possible. We'll talk to him about that tomorrow on Figure 4 Daily, but yeah.
That's going to be a hell of a show.
Yeah, I expect it to be. So, but yeah, it was a very, very split crowd. Much better match than you would expect, mostly just because of the crowd reactions. I think if it would have been a dead crowd, the same match, it would have been fine, but you would have forgotten it tomorrow. This one you'll remember.
Yes.
Because of the response. Everybody kicked out of finishes. The best was when they actually broke into the boo and yay cheers.
Yes.
As they were exchanging punches back and forth. Hunter eventually at the end went for the pedigree. And Cena rolled through into the STFU. Hunter teased passing out. They raised the arm twice. On the third time, he held it up and fought.
Everyone cheered.
Yep, and then he tapped. And immediately they cut to one lone fan in the middle of the crowd staring at the Titantron with the very definition of what the fuck just happened.
He was shocked and in a bad way.
It was
the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
It was the biggest reaction in the entire Proper household all night. Everybody laughing and crying at this guy who had just...
He must have bet his home on Hunter.
He could not fathom this finish. He was... All that was missing was him pinching or slapping himself to go, please tell me this.
Splashing beer in his face, trying to wake himself up. No, in fact, John Cena made Hunter submit in the main event of WrestleMania to retain his belt.
And it was also great because during all the near falls, they'd cut to the crowd regularly. And it was so split.
It was very split. I would say it was probably 2-1 anti-Cena. But that being said, the pro-Cena people were very, very passionate. And there was a point, I think Cena kicked out of something. And they cut to the crowd, and a guy jumped to his feet and began to cut a promo on the guy next to him.
He was jumping up and down going, I showed you,
I told you he'd get up. I told you can't beat John Cena.
Fuck you, motherfucker. And it was just great.
It was beautiful.
Back and forth.
We said it before, John Cena can never lose the belt.
No, I've decided. He needs to be champion forever.
I don't care if he has to fight good guys, fight bad guys. I don't care.
This was just...
Every John Cena match is more fun than it should be.
Thank God for Chicago.
Thank God for Chicago. Thank God for that guy.
Chicago gets a huge thumbs up, which gives WrestleMania a thumbs up. And that's it.
It was a solid. It was a good show. It did not have the one WrestleMania classic that you remember for years and years and years, but there was a lot of good wrestling, and
it was enough to add up to it.
Yeah.
People, they'll. This was a good show. I left
happy.
happy.
I left very happy.
I left happy. I did not feel ripped off. I was full. I was happy. And really, what more can you ask for from a pay-per-view? So
nothing.
Got to give them a thumbs up. And now the question, of course, is where do they go? We don't really know much about Raw tomorrow.